Hello, and welcome back to Mystic Motivation, a podcast for witchy women on their empowerment journey. February is approaching us, so we are going to be talking about the moon magic for the month ahead in this podcast episode. Everything you need to know for February 2026, including the moon cycles, magic, lore, history, and some other fun things as well. This is a great way to align yourself with the seasons, to amplify your magic even more, and to get more in tune with your inner cycles. So before we dive into everything February has to offer us, be sure to like this video and subscribe to this channel so that each month you can tap into moon magic to amplify your witchy journey. Grab a cup of coffee, a cup of tea, some water. Today I made an Americano. I put some caramel macchiato creamer in here, a little bit of cinnamon, stirred with intention, and it's delicious. All right, let's dive in. So let's talk about the moon cycles that we have coming up in February. It's rather exciting because on the 1st of February is our full moon, starting off the month strong with intention. Not only this, but the 1st of February is also our first Sabbath Imbolc. First Sabbath of the collective new year, of course. So we'll talk all about Imbolc in a second, but let's start with this full moon. It's called the ice moon, and it's also known as the moon of the seer. So yes, it lands on February 1st, and this ice moon represents a dormant time in the northern hemisphere. This is a time where activity is slow, life is slow. You may feel more inclined to really go into hibernation, really go into your own inner cave. Everything is kind of symbolically hidden underneath a layer of ice within ourselves, but also within the land. In both Celtic and Roman cultures, this time during the ice moon was seen as a time of purification. And with any kind of purification comes initiation, which connects us to why this is also seen as the moon of the seer. Because of this natural withdrawal into ourselves, into a hermit mode, the ice moon was seen as the perfect time to tap into our inner power and to face our inner truths. A time of deep reflection, where it's said that the ice moon sheds just enough light for us to be able to shine it upon our inner darkness. So a witch's note here, full moons are excellent for releasing what we're ready to let go of. This is a great time to do cleansing rituals, a great time to do some cleaning, spiffing, letting go of things around our house. This is also a great time for spiritual insight and shadow work, purging of any kind, coming to those inner truths we talked about. So some examples of rituals you could do includes candle releasing rituals. You could do shadow work prompts through journaling. And of course, with any ritual we're doing when we're aligning it to moon magic, any way that you feel called to incorporate this full moon into your magic is just going to amplify it all the more. So we are starting off strong, February 1st, with this full moon. It is also Imbolc. Again, we'll get to that after we talked about all of the moon cycles. But after the full moon, of course, we lead into the last quarter moon. So this is happening on February 9th, and this is when the moon is half lit. So it's starting to wane towards darkness. So whenever we're working with a quarter moon, it's going to match the full moon or the new moon before it, right? So it's giving us more time to release any residuals that maybe we didn't fully surrender to when the full moon was here. So with this last quarter moon, again, it's a great time to work with releasing rituals. A good time to reflect on what you're still carrying. Rituals could include undoing any spells, releasing through more of a gratitude perspective, and any type of herb smudging or cleansing. Just really deepening the practice you did with the full moon, still carrying that energy with you. And it also gives you more time to work with rituals of releasing, cleansing, and clearing. So after our last quarter moon on February 9th, we then move into the new moon on February 17th. From the research I did, apparently this new moon doesn't have a traditional name. It's commonly often referred to the new ice moon as well. But any new moon is great for new beginnings. It's a starting point with a fresh, new, clean slate. Blank slate energy. So setting any new intentions and beginning anew is the energy here. Some great rituals to do with the new moon includes any type of seed ritual, any kind of manifestation work. Again, any way that you can incorporate the new moon into these practices, into these rituals, will just amplify it all the more. Then we move into the first quarter moon on February 24th. The first quarter moon moves forward our intentions with the new moon even further. It's building up that momentum towards our intentions, whatever we worked with, whatever manifestation work we put in place. So, witch's note here, this is a great time to be more action oriented, to push forward on your intentions and to move with confidence. So, some great rituals you can do around the first quarter is any movement practice. This is also a good time to do more elaborate spell workings if you feel a desire to. You're more likely to have a bit more energy around this time if you are somebody that really syncs and connects with the moon. So those are the moon cycles of February. Next, I want to talk about some of the witchcraft history surrounding this month. But before we do, let's talk about our Sabbath Imbolc. As I mentioned in last month's Moon Magic, I will be using these books throughout the year, The Witches, Sabbats, and Esbats by Sandra Kynes, and Moon Magic by DJ Conway. So you'll see me often referring to these throughout this video. You can snag these books if you want to join along. If not, I've got you covered here. So I took some notes here on the history and lore of Imbolc that I want to share with you guys. So Imbolc is known as midwinter. It marks the in-between of the winter solstice and the spring equinox, Yule and Ostara. Winter is not yet over during Imbolc, but the daylight becomes noticeably longer. Slowly, the snow, ice, and chills recede, and the green of nature peeks through. So like we talked about with the ice moon, beneath that layer of ice is the nature that is slowly about to push through. Traditionally, Imbolc was celebrated with bonfires and candle magic and pagan traditions. Witch's note here, if you really want to connect to the season of Imbolc, try including a bit more candle magic or have a bonfire during the month of February. Many would also call upon the great fire goddess Brigid. She was known as a midwife to help guide and birth the new year in growing light. So Brigid was the goddess of holy wells and springs, crossroads, and transformation. She helps to guide those who seek her out to the path one needs to follow for self-transformation. A perfect representation of how Imbolc is a time of purification and clearing away old things from our lives so that we may plant new seeds. So it's this really fire sign type energy, which is interesting in winter, right? But we need some sort of flame to kind of purify and clear the way, to melt the ice so that we can move forward the closer we get to Ostara, the spring equinox. Just as the world slowly transitions out of winter, so do we, leaving the past behind and preparing for new light. So, little witch's note here, this is also a great time to begin working with solar magic. As the sun slowly starts to shine a bit longer, a bit more, we can start working with it in that symbolic energy. So does our manifestations, our intentions, as we move forward into the true new year. When we go into Aries season, when we reach the spring equinox, we can begin to amplify our intentions for the rest of the year. So again, any sort of seed rituals may resonate with you. Manifestation work and preparation work. Think vision boards and beginning to organize through planners. We're still in winter, so we can take our time with this, but start planting the seeds of what you're ready to manifest into your life moving forward into the rest of the year. So a little bit more of the history of February. Some say that the name of the month of February comes from the Roman goddess Februa, who was also known as Juno Februa. Others say that the name came from the god Februs, who was later identified as the Roman Pluto or Dis. February can be an ideal time for dedicating or rededicating oneself to whatever deity or deities one worships. It's also a wise practice to cleanse and purify yourself. Purifying changes the vibrations by removing negative ones and inviting in positive ones. The month of January was a time of ending old cycles and preparing for new ones. February prepares the environment and the body, mind, spirit for receptivity of new spiritual and life experiences. So this segues into our myth that we'll be working with for this month. It's really focused around deities in February. So I wanted to talk about the deity Diana the Huntress. So, the Roman Diana, similar in many ways to the Greek Artemis, was definitely a moon goddess, ruler of the wild wood and lady of beasts. She allowed no liberties with her person or favors. As the twin sister of Apollo, the sun, she was a feminine balance to her brother. So, the perfect depiction of yin and yang. She was often pictured with a crescent moon on her forehead, clad in a short white tunic, armed with a bow and surrounded by dogs and stags. The nymphs who ran at her side symbolized the carefree, eternally youthful part of the human mind and psyche. When Diana showed her softer side by indulging in dancing and music, singing and playing the flute and lyre, she was accompanied by the muses and graces. At this time, the goddess was a gentle healer and willing to aid those she considered deserving of her favors. Diana, known as Artemis among the Greeks, was said to protect the pure and innocent when they called upon her. If she could not protect them because of the interference of other deities, she at least established their innocence. So I really love how this deity perfectly represents the energy of February, again, with this energy of purification that is really amplified. If you are a witch who works with deities, Diana would be the perfect one to work with in the month of February and for the Sabbath Imbolc. You can ask her to aid you in your purification rituals, cleansing and clearing, and reinstating you with a new clean slate. All right, so before we get into the correspondences for the month of February, let's look at some old sayings and lore that was popular around this time. So, a snowy February was said to bring a good spring, while a mild month meant stormy weather. So, if you're anywhere like I am in the South, we've had a very mild winter season so far. I could definitely foresee the weather being stormy. It was also said to see the crescent moon over the right shoulder was considered lucky, but seeing it over the left shoulder was unlucky. I'm not sure how you would gauge it over your shoulders, maybe if you have someone with you, but interesting. In Cornwall, it was said that if a boy was born during a waning moon, they said the next birth would be a girl. My Cornwall people, let me know if this is true. All right, so let's move into some of the correspondences of the month. Different things you can work with and incorporate into your practice to amplify your moon magic even more. So, some nature spirits that are commonly worked with in February include house fairies, both of the home itself and houseplants. Some popular herbs include mirth, sage, and spikenard. Colors include light blue and violet. A flower to work with is the primrose. Scents to work with is wisteria and heliotrope. Never heard of that one. Stones to work with include amethyst, jasper, and rock crystal. Trees include rowan, laurel, and cedar. Animals are the otter and unicorn. Birds are the eagle and chickadee. Deities to work with is Bridget, Juno, Diana, Demeter, Persephone, and Aphrodite. And the Moon Magic book also references some power flow, some energy you can work with. So, energy working towards the surface, purification, growth, healing, loving the self, accepting responsibility for past errors, forgiving yourself, and making future plans. For the energy of February, I think these are spot on perfect correspondences to work with, as well as deities and the power flow. Gives a perfect guide to really conquer your magic, really hone in on your magic for the month of February. February is not a month to be underestimated. It is a powerful turning point. We are slowly coming out of winter, a time where we all are put into a position of deep reflection. And when we lean into that, we allow ourselves to begin the transformation that is necessary to move forward into a more empowered version of ourselves come spring. So, with that being said, let's move into a collective tarot reading and oracle reading for the month of February 2026 to see what we need to know for the month ahead. So, we're going to pull some tarot cards, and I felt called to the Alice in Wonderland Oracle deck. I love this Oracle deck. I think it is spot on every single time. I love the artwork. I love the interpretations. So I'll pull a couple of these Oracle cards as well, and we'll read the meaning out of the booklet. So let's start with some tarot. Let's get some insight for our collective for the month of February. What do we need to know? Take what resonates, leave the rest. This is a collective message, so there's bits and pieces that some of us will need to hear and bits and pieces that others won't. But let's see what our collective needs to hear. All right. We have the Seven of Swords, the Ace of Pentacles, and the Two of Cups. There's this really interesting story being told, and it aligns with the month of February. We've talked so much about releasing and purification. There's this message coming through to not look backwards at past deception, past trickery, past situations that really made you question yourself, and to instead move forward. Allow this to be the month that this collective moves forward with confidence. I think that was mentioned somewhere in something we were reading earlier, or I may just be thinking back to the importance of working with confidence in the new moon. So that could be a bit of guidance in your practice this month ahead. Really allow when the new moon comes around to tap into your inner empowerment, confidence. Let yourself decide your plans moving forward as winter begins to come to a close, to really gain clarity on who you want to be. Past versions of yourself fully dissolving. That energy, that decision to move forward from past situations, clearing the way to become a new self, is going to really meet with this external divine alignment. The universe seeing the work you put in, seeing the stability, the position of power you're putting yourself in, this new foundation you're creating for yourself, and meeting you halfway there. The universe often likes to match the energy we're putting out. So when you're putting yourself in a position of power, confidence, deciding on a new foundation clearly, you're sure to notice in your external reality things that are going to align with that and amplify that even more. I see this leading to a divine union of some kind. For some of you, this may be a relationship. This could be a partnership, somebody who may work with you in your career. This could be new friendships. Or this could be you aligning with a specific category that you've been desiring. Say it's a career, say it's an upgrade in your life, say it's a new version of yourself, but it's you finally meeting this place where you're in a reciprocal relationship with someone else, with something, or the universe. But there's this clear harmony of balance, this untransactional, unconditional give and take. From you putting yourself in a position of power, in a position of trust and stability, and the universe matching that energy, putting you in a place to receive more of that energy. Really interesting. So with that being said, I want to pull two oracle cards here, just some clarification, spirit, on this message for this collective. What do we need to know? Let's see what we got here. Number 17, growing up, wanting to grow and experience, rejection of perpetual youth, which is really interesting, talking about shedding past versions of ourselves and really putting ourselves in a position to embrace this new version of ourselves. So we'll read the booklet and see what that's about. We also got number 30, law is not justice, rules that are not fair. This could be about changing our perspective to a degree of how we see ourselves, the position we're putting ourselves in, deciding from a place of confidence a new set of rules, right? That ends up putting us in a position where that energy is meeting us, that puts us in alignment with these new, more reciprocal, more healthy environments, places, or people. So let's see what the booklet has to say, starting with number 17, growing up, wanting to grow and experience, rejection of perpetual youth. There's a snippet of the Alice in Wonderland book that I'll read first. Shall I never get any older than I am now? That'll be a comfort one way, never to be an old woman. But then, always to have lessons to learn. Oh, I shouldn't like that. Alice is in Wonderland, and she wonders if she will ever leave or change or grow older. She understands this can have benefits, never growing old, infirm, forgetful, or having to rely upon others as the old so often must do. Even at her tender age, she realizes that if she stays young, she will always have lessons to learn. And that will have a great disadvantage, for Alice wishes to be clever, wise, and to have learned her lessons so she can move forward and have a good life. When this card comes to you, it is a reminder of the many benefits of growing older and maturing. It encourages you to take each lesson as it comes, knowing you will be wiser in time. If you were to stay young forever, these lessons would simply repeat and there would be no real getting of wisdom. Alice does not wish to become old, but nor does she wish to stay young and unwise. So consider the benefits of growing older. Surround yourself with people of varied ages and learn from their experiences. Work through your own lessons with practicality, patience, and enjoyment. We change physically as we grow older. Make becoming an ancient, an elder, your goal. Reject the need to stay one age forever, for that will keep you from the growth your soul longs for. So the divination says, understanding that the years bring their lessons to you. Embrace becoming older. Watching time makes its marks upon you and embracing the signs of aging. Understanding the wisdom that comes with age. Being young at heart, yet yearning for encounters that will help you grow, evolve, and experience the fullness of life. This is such powerful wisdom that goes along with the tarot reading, no more looking back, placing yourself in a position of, I've moved forward from the past trickery, from the past deception, from these past experiences. I am a new person because of them. That aspect of myself lives within me. I still have that youthfulness, that innocence, but instead I'm now rooted in wisdom and stability that has taught me things. Being in that position with confidence and what that leads towards. Let's see what number 30, law is not justice, rules that are not fair, has to say. So the snippet from the Alice in Wonderland book says, let the jury consider their verdict, the king said, for about the 20th time that day. No, no, said the queen. Sentence first, verdict afterwards. The situation Alice finds herself in is patently unfair. No one should be judged, convicted, or serve a sentence prior to the evidence being heard. But this situation Alice finds herself within. This could be what is taking place in your world. Unfair as it may be, someone wants to judge you before they know you, convict you before they understand your side of the story, and they most certainly have not examined any evidence. Nevertheless, they wish to judge. As Alice so bravely does, you must speak up and say it is unfair and wrong. It is not right for you to be judged, but another person wishes to do so. Unless you speak up, there could be very strong consequences. When you are told to be quiet and to tolerate the judgments being made about you, this card urges you to speak up against injustice and object to what is taking place. Your opinion of yourself is the most valuable. You can state your case clearly, with strength and power, and doing so will help you remember just how strong you are, how very admired you are, how worthwhile and decent you are. You are worthy of respect, fairness, and kindness. If you are being treated poorly, speak up. When you do so, the spell will be broken and people will see that your side of the story is well worth listening to. Never allow another to steal your self-worth. So the divination says, someone may have the authority to impose the law, but the law or the rule is ready to be questioned. Following the law, even though it is unjust, being judged by people who do not know you or have a biased view. You may be judging people you do not understand. Be sure to have a fuller picture and avoid being condemned and judged. Being discerning, but be sure to be fair and just. This is really interesting. I really like that was thrown in there. I almost feel like this applies to a bit of this past self card, this looking backwards card. For some of this collective, you may have experienced past situations that you've moved forward from where you're truly not the person you used to be. And the person you used to be wasn't necessarily anything to be ashamed of, but you may have had a habit of not speaking up for yourself or just kind of moving on from situations without ever clearing your name. And there's almost like this karmic justice that wants to be served of, you can move forward and forget the past and root yourself in this new person that you are, But in this position, don't be afraid to speak up for that past version of yourself and or speak up for the person you are now. No longer should you allow anybody to misinterpret who you are. Yes, you'll be misunderstood. Yes, the purpose of life is not to convince people of who you are, but you're allowed to speak up for yourself. So as you're growing, as you're rooting yourself in this new foundation, maybe for some of you, it's important to hear to allow this new version of yourself to be very self-assured and confident. Confidence is really highlighted throughout the month of February. And again, I'm feeling to reference the new moon. For some of you, it may be a good idea to work with some sort of glamour magic that really amplifies your boundaries, really amplifies your self-confidence to help move you forward, to change your self-image and the way that you see yourself, therefore the way others perceive you as well. Allowing yourself to be seen as this new person, even if situations from your past, people from your past try to suggest that that's not truly you or try to bring up old things and throw it in your face. You're beyond that. You're beyond that, and you're allowed to clear your name. For some of you, I'm also getting the message that part of your moving forward, right? Because Pentacles is about abundance as well. And this Two of Cups could be about people, but it could also be about you aligning with a purpose. Part of purpose for some of you, part of your purpose for some of you could be in sharing more of the stories of what you've experienced in the past. What made you grow up? What made you change? What put you on this spiritual witchcraft journey? What made you become this person that sought out inner power and healing? Most witches I've engaged with, most people on a spiritual self-growth journey I've engaged with, I would say 99% of the time, are people who have come from a more difficult past or have gone through experiences that really rocked their world. A complete 180, had to take a different direction, had to embrace a different perspective to be able to move forward. So this could be relevant for some of you, this deep need of self-respect, right? We do have a water element here, right? We have air sign, earth element, water sign. It's telling this story of change of perspective, grounded in this new perspective, your emotions matching that, right? The self-care that comes with that. So we'll leave the message there. I really like that. I hope that you found something in that message that was beneficial to you. Before we wrap up the moon magic for February, I wanted to share with you, and I didn't think of this last time, but I remembered just before I started recording today, my husband wrote a poetry book called The Moon is Always Full, and he has a full collection of poems in here that go along with the moons of each month. So the ice moon is also known as the cold moon, so I wanted to read you the short poem here of the cold moon, just for enjoyment, to give you more of an understanding of the energy of this ice moon. The season of freezing blew through, as the last leaves leapt from their high view. The feeling of fleeing is freeing, though it comes with a fee. It will not be cheap, but it will be due. I have always wanted warmth. Some days are spent unsure of the course, of self, of the possible more. The profit yielded so far. I could not have plausibly seen, sitting silently in a strange scene. A box once bleak is now teeming with life. Walls that used to scream through the night, presently, pleasantly dream. The cold is not a constant as it once was, although not totally absent. Apt to ascend, I attempt to attend as myself. I had to give a little shout out to the Hubs. This is a really awesome poetry book that goes along with all of the moons of each month. And I think it just encapsulates the energy so well of things you may be experiencing, things you may be feeling in this ice moon, this cold moon energy. It is a time of reflection, just as the tarot reading suggested as well. But it's important to release after we reflect and then create new foundations to build upon. Thank you, witches, for being here with me and diving into the moon magic of February 2026. Be sure to like this video and subscribe to this channel so that we can dive deep into the moon magic of each month this year. This is a perfect way to align yourself with the cycles and magic of each month. giving you permission to deepen your wisdom in witchcraft and amplify your magic even more. We have an exciting month ahead in February with the full moon starting us off on the 1st, as well as the Sabbath Imbolc. This is a perfect time for releasing, renewal, purification, and clean slates. Now is a time to plant seeds that will begin to bloom the closer we get to the Spring Equinox Ostara. Before we know it, our time to truly take action will be here. So February is the perfect time to get ready to plan those intentions, to get ready to align our magic with what we truly desire. If you'd like to dive deeper into the season of Imbolc, on February 15th, I am hosting an online coven where we'll be aligning ourselves with this Sabbath. So traditionally, Imbolc is celebrated between February 1st and 2nd, but a lot of witches will embrace this energy and work with it until the Spring Equinox. So it's perfectly placed February 15th in the middle of this energy for witches to come together to reflect on what they've been releasing so far and then the new intentions that they're ready to plant. When you join as a Scarlet Sister member, you gain access to the Coven and Coven playbacks. So if you're not able to join us on February 15th on Sunday, you'll have access to a playback of that Coven that you can watch at any time. As a member, you also gain access to an arsenal of workbooks and meditations. Each month I upload a new one that aligns with our intention of each month. You also gain access to our Scarlet Sister Discord chat where you can connect with other witches, share your wins, ask questions. And every Monday I upload in the chat an oracle card and a journal prompt to keep you aligned with your practices. There is more magic in becoming a Scarlet Sister member, so if this aligns with you, I invite you to go to the link in bio and click the Covens tab to learn more. I'll also put some information in the caption down below. Imbolc is a season where it's important to get specific on what we're ready to welcome in as we get closer and closer to the Spring Equinox. I created this self-paced guided journal that helps you get specific on your inner world and what you want to bring to life. This is my Rise and Bloom journal. It's a daily journal and creative healing companion for witches, for women who are ready to deep dive into empowerment. In this self-paced journal, you'll find prompts that help guide you to get specific on the truths that you need to face within yourself, which perfectly aligns with the energy of February. There's spaces to leave notes, affirmations you can cut out and place on your mirror, spot each week to write down your gratitude list so you can embody more of the energy you desire. A space that gives you self-care ideas for each week. I give you 2 and there's 2 more you can put down below. Aim for one nice thing to do for yourself each week. It really makes all the difference. And I even made a spot where you can doodle how you're feeling because sometimes words are limiting. You'll also find snippets of my own writing in these journals. The intention is for you to take what resonates, leave the rest, and allow some of these words to provoke thoughts that really allow you to reach inner clarity, to move you forward with more direction, and to empower you every step of the way. My guided journal is available, link in bio, and also on Amazon. You can search Rise and Bloom by Zoe Arnold. If you buy a copy and if you email me a screenshot of your purchase, you can gain free access to the next upcoming online coven. Just as a little thank you for supporting me and investing in yourself. Thank you so much for being here, witches. I can't wait to see you next month. Happy February. Happy Imbolc. And I wish you much magic up ahead. Much love.